Know that divine mind is present in every condition, every circumstance, every living being, and every moment. So as we come here today, we're in that consciousness that the divine energy of life and wholeness, love, peace, harmony is present with us. And we look forward to the time when it will be agreed that it's safe to resume our normal procedures. So let's call that forth. So I just want to tell you a little story about some kids that were here for the first time. And it's so interesting because this family came because they heard the music on the street. And the children in the family said, we have to come into that church and hear more of that music. Yay, Louie. And so they were here, and we hadn't arranged for any childcare. And there was a family of 4 children. And I went back to them, and I looked right at them, and I said, I hope you'll be able to listen to what I'm saying, because I'm going to talk, and I'm going to say this sermon so you can understand it. And it was the exact same subject we have today. Today I'm talking about how to see a miracle. And that day they were there, and they kept coming for a year and a half. Then they moved to California. But today is, have you seen a miracle? It's a different sentence, and actually it's a different outline, but it's the same unity idea of being able to see and appreciate the activity of God in everything, you know? And what happened that day was, I asked everybody to write on a piece of paper what was a miracle that they could now understand, that they didn't realize was a miracle before. And the little boy wrote on his piece of paper afterwards, after it was over and I read all the pieces of paper, he wrote on his piece of paper, to sleep with my cat. And I knew that he got it. He got the message to be able to appreciate how wonderful it is to have a pet that you can sleep with. That's a cat. Cats are so independent. So that was a beautiful Sunday for us. Now, so have you seen a miracle? In these times of heretofore unseen occurrences, would you agree with that? We have not seen things like this before. It's new territory. We're charting new territory. It is well to use our power of choice to see, to recognize the activity of the divine, the presence of God in the midst. So first of all, what exactly is a miracle? Well, I've been haunted by the song all week that I think is Everything's a Miracle. Do you remember hearing that song before ever? She knows? It's Christian rock. You know that song, Nikki? Okay. I thought you were nodding. So, yeah. And, but it's actually not everything's a miracle. One verse says that. But I'm going to tell you the words since we can't sing. Because I find this song to be exactly in the theme of what the message is for today. So this man wrote the song. When I was a boy, each week, Sunday, we would go to church, pay attention to the priest as he would read the holy word, consecrate the holy bread, everyone would kneel and bow. Today, the only difference is everything is holy now. Everything is holy now. When I was in Sunday school, we would learn about the time Moses split the sea in two. Jesus made the water wine. I remember feeling sad miracles don't happen still. Now I can't keep track because everything's a miracle. Everything's a miracle. Wine from water is not so small. An even better magic trick is anything is here at all. So the challenging thing becomes not to make a miracle, but finding where there isn't one. When holy water was rare at best, it barely wet my fingertips. Now I have to hold my breath like I'm swimming in a sea of it. It used to be a world half there, heaven's second-rate hand-me-down. But I walk it with a reverent air, because everything is holy now. Read a questioning child's face. Say it's not a testament. That'd be very hard to say. See another new morning come. Say it's not a sacrament. I tell you that it can't be done. This morning outside I stood, saw a little red-winged bird, shining like a burning bush, singing like a scripture verse. Made me want to bow my head. I remember when church let out, how things have changed since then. Everything is holy now. A miracle comes when we cross over what we think is possible. When we cross over what we think is ordinary, or what we think is deserved, or what we think is expected. If we transcend these qualifiers, what is possible, what is ordinary, what is deserved, what is expected, then our perceptions open up to be able to see the amazing, the wondrous manifestations to be seen around us. Love is a miracle. The human heart is a miracle. Consciousness is a miracle. Birth is a miracle. Even death is a miracle. And how is death a miracle? To see the life force depart from a physical organism that has run its course, that is an inexplicable thing to witness. The life goes out of its abode, sheds its material garment. If we witness whatever we look upon as the activity of the divine, as the divine plan unfolding, we align ourselves with that. We align ourselves with the activity of the divine and the divine plan unfolding. What if we saw the coronavirus as a mandate that for the first time all humanity must stand together for a common purpose? And we thought it was going to be extraterrestrials. For all humanity to unite for one common purpose, that would be a miracle. What if we saw the demonstrations of people coming out in the streets, and what a coincidence that so many people are out of work to do it, coming out to demand equality for those who have remained under the chokehold of discrimination, and being joined by people of all demographics in solidarity with their plight. This is a miracle of the emergence of equality. We are in the times where change is breaking old thought forms, and it's not easy to navigate these waters. The theme of Unity's World Day of Prayer was just announced, and it sounds wonderful. It says the theme is From Fear to Faith. And all of the Unity churches all over the world will be observing on the third Wednesday of September a prayer, maybe the third Thursday, a prayer together collectively to lift the consciousness of humanity from fear to faith. And our theme this year, Discovering Your Spiritual Power, this is a defining moment, because what you recognize, what you look for, you cause, you create, you call forth, you activate. This is a true spiritual law, a spiritual principle, a universal dynamic. It's called keeping the high watch. It's all those platitudes. What you see is what you get. It's the observer principle demonstrated in quantum physics. So there are two books that are apropos of our material here today, and I've put them in the program folder, a little explanation of them, and I hope you'll take the folder home with you, because if you look on the right side of your program folder, there's two little paragraphs So when we're saying, have you seen a miracle? There is a book called In Search of the Miraculous. Have you heard of this book? All right. This is why I did so well in school. This is the most succinct and fast way that you'll ever find the information of this, this source, this resource. Well, how many of you have heard of the, what is that, the Enneagram personality test? The Enneagram, that's a whole big thing. The Enneagram comes out of this work. It was created by George Gurdjieff. So in Europe, the New Age was brought into the culture by these guys, Uspensky and Gurdjieff. And they had esoteric classes, kind of like we have Course in Miracle classes. In Europe, they had the Fourth Way classes, only for the most esoterically minded metaphysical seekers. And here in the paragraph it explains, he said that human beings are machines until they wake up. And he taught the waking up. He emphasized that it required discipline and courage to recognize the extent to which one exists as a machine. Now, I would say that's a difference that Unity has from other teachings, especially this teaching. We never, dramatize and emphasize how limiting are the circumstances of human consciousness. We don't go on and on about how difficult it is to overcome limitation and awaken and have the mystical experience, because we don't want to confirm that. We don't want to affirm that it's difficult. It's only difficult if you think it's difficult, That transition, that exaltation into divine awakening, into cosmic consciousness, it's not hard. It's just magic. So, In Search of the Miraculous is what this man, Uspensky, he didn't originate the ideas and the teaching called the Fourth Way, but he went in search of answers. He went all the way to the Orient and came back. And upon returning to Russia, he met this man, George Gurdjieff, who had answers, and he considered that miraculous. It is miraculous, isn't it? To find a technology in language that moves you forward, that opens you to spiritual consciousness. It is. And then this other one, the doors of perception. So it has everything to do with how you see. When I say, have you seen a miracle? Okay, so that involves our perceptions, how we look at the world. So here is this book that came out in 1954, The Doors of Perception. Did you know that Jim Morrison's band, The Doors, they took their name from this phrase? Yeah, and the phrase comes from an earlier text that William Blake, who's a great poet, considered one of the great poets of all time, and in my research, I was able to discover William Blake for the first time. He didn't actually write poems on printed page. He made illustrated pages of artwork and then put words on it. And there's no title of this is this poem. It just went on and on, his reflections about the nature of reality and human nature. And the full quotation that he wrote, from which we take this doors of perception phrase. If the doors of perception were cleansed, everything would appear to man as it is, infinite, for man has closed himself up till he sees all things through narrow chinks of his cavern. The human plight. And to open the doors of perception now, Aldous Huxley, who was a British philosopher and novelist, writer. He wrote fiction, nonfiction. He wrote, the great book that we all have to read in school. What is it called? Brave New World. Yeah, Brave New World. So, yeah, Aldous Huxley wrote this book, The Doors of Perception, about his experiences under the influences of mescaline, a hallucinogen. And I want to tell you, nobody needs a substance to experience the divine. But people have used substances like mescaline and experience the divine, and it opens a whole world to them, and then they realize what they've been missing. But it can be done through meditation any day of the week. So Huxley justifies this new direction because he says that modern humanity has become really fixed and stuck in their isolation. And just to show you the beauty of his ideas, I have the final paragraph of his book. It's very beautiful, and I've been practicing saying it because it's quite a tongue twister. Okay, here it is. The final paragraph of Aldous Huxley's book, The Doors of Perception. But the man who comes back through the door in the wall will never be quite the same as the man who went out. He will be wiser, but less cocksure, happier, but less self-satisfied, humbler in acknowledging his ignorance, yet better equipped to understand the relationship of words to things, of systematic reasoning to the unfathomable mystery which it tries forever vainly to comprehend. Did you get that? I'll do it again. He'll be the man who comes back through the door. He'll be wiser but less cocksure, happier but less self-satisfied, humbler in acknowledging his ignorance, yet better equipped to understand the relationship of words to things, of systematic reasoning to the unfathomable mystery which it tries, forever vainly, to comprehend. So you could say that he discovered this unfathomable mystery that we encounter when we allow our perceptions to open up, when we allow our preconceived notions, our blinders to fall away and see the expanse of divine activity of God in the midst of our lives. Now, I have the script today, and I was going to ask our friend Lynn because you're such a sprite and you're so lively. So, just for fun to do this. How many of you have seen the movie Life is Beautiful? So you get as far away from me over there as you go. Okay. Like, yeah, okay. And did anybody look at the clip that I attached to the email? Jerry, you did? Did you? So it's a scene from Life is Beautiful where the father and son are in a concentration camp, a Nazi concentration camp. And a German soldier is laying down the law and telling them what's going to happen. Now, I want you guys to play the part of the little boy and react how the little boy would react when he hears what his father is telling him what's going on. I'll be the part of the mean German soldier. And then, so the mean German soldier has said, "Who understands German and can translate to the people?" And he's translating it into Italian, actually. And the father raises his hand, goes to the front, and he's supposedly translating what the German soldier is saying in a very threatening way. And I'm going to use the gestures which he also used to his advantage. So one is, when he goes like this, you go like that, and the other one is go like this. Okay. All right. So I'm playing a mean German Nazi concentration camp card, okay. You'll only hear what I'm about to say once.
The game starts now. Whoever is here is here. Whoever is not is not.
You were brought to this camp for one reason. You were brought to this camp for one reason.
The first one to get 1,000 points wins. The prize is a tank.
To work.
Lucky him.
Any act of rebellion will be punishable by death. Executions will occur in the square. You will be shot in the back.
Every day we'll announce who's in the lead from that loudspeaker. The one with the least points has to wear a sign saying, "Jackass."
You have the honor to work for our motherland and to participate in the construction of the great German Empire.
We play a part of real mean guys who yell. Whoever's scared loses points.
These are the three things you shouldn't forget. First, don't try to escape. Second, follow all commands without asking questions. And third, anyone who protests will be executed. Is that clear?
In 3 cases, you will lose all of your points. 1, if you start crying. 2, if you want to see your mommy. 3, if you're hungry and you want a snack. Forget about it.
You should be happy working here. Nothing bad will happen to those who follow the rules.
It's easy to lose points for being hungry. Just yesterday, I lost 40 points because I absolutely had to have a jam sandwich.
Absolute compliance.
Apricot jam.
One more thing.
He wanted strawberry.
When you hear this whistle, you should quickly go into the square.
Don't ask for any lollipops. You won't get any. And we eat them all.
And form 2 lines.
I ate 20 of them just yesterday.
Be silent.
What a stomachache.
Every morning.
But they sure were good.
For roll call.
You bet.
One more thing. You'll be working over in that area. You'll find it very easy to learn the layout of the camp. And then he leaves.
Sorry if I'm going so fast, but I'm playing hide and seek. I have to go now or they'll find me.
So you can see how this father completely shifted the context of this experience so that his son did not feel terrorized or victimized. And the movie is told from the viewpoint of the son. Everyone should see this movie. It's called Life is Beautiful. Who's seen it? It got the Academy Award for the Best Foreign Film that year. Okay. So, if I may talk about children in front of the children for just a moment, especially with children, when we see in them only good, when we just don't engage with qualities that are low vibration, rather than opposing them, ignoring them, interacting with them at the level of praise and appreciation, makes all the difference in the world. Now, Einstein is reputed to have said this. How many have heard this? There's 2 ways to live. I just want to say before I say it, there's no evidence that Einstein actually said it. Somebody said he said it. It's really caught on. So, there are 2 ways to live. One way is as if nothing is a miracle. And the other way is as if everything is a miracle. So remove your blinders. Allow the doors of your perception to fall away and see, truly see, the glory of the coming of the Lord. Amen. Thank you. Well, our statement for meditation today is, I see the good, the God, in every one, and I call it forth through the power of the Christ within me. This is an organizing principle for our very lives. Seeing the good in everyone, in everything. But let's start with each other, with people. Seeing the good, the God, in everyone through the power of the Christ within me. So let's breathe deeply now to relax and surrender to the organizing principle of the Spirit of Truth. A vortex of dynamic energy that envelops us, that energizes us, that illumines every fiber of our being, that awakens us at every level, so that we may live inspired, whole, creative, expressive, joyous, and harmonious. And so as we abide in the silence, as we go within and allow the divine mind to commune with us, we now wait. We now abide in the silence. For the sweetness of this journey of love as a spiritual family going into the future hand in hand, we give thanks. Amen.